One day, my friend received a text from his girlfriend. You will not believe the person I met on the train. A man named Egon Cholakian. We had no idea one simple text could lead us down such a rabbit hole involving AI people, mind control, and a Russian doomsday cult. This is the cult of AI. When I Googled Egon Cholakian, the first video that appeared was a video called the Destiny Schizo Arc. The internet is dead is the theory that he was discovering. It was reported in 2016 that over 50% of all traffic on the internet was bots. And the streamer was finding this out firsthand. And he eventually found himself on an Egon Cholakian video, where he questioned if Egon was a real person or completely AI generated. And immediately after stumbling upon his video, a new viewer joined his stream, an account that was created solely to make a comment about Egon Cholakian, where he guaranteed that Egon Cholakian was a real person and provided proof. The account was specifically made just for this, and Destiny could prove it by tracking back his IP address. And we saw firsthand one of Egon's bots or devoted followers in action. And anywhere Egon is mentioned, these devotees or bots will appear. But the question remained, was Egon real? Well, how could he not be? We have a friend who met him. And this stirred up so much attention that the Corridor crew even did a video establishing if it was an AI video or not. And they also confirmed that it was a real person. But if this is true, if he was just a regular old YouTuber, why does he have these bots that work for him? Looking him up on YouTube, we find our way to the Earth Save Science Collaborative. And this channel brought up even more questions. In this channel, he preaches mostly about the climate crisis, but some very alternative views on the matter. He states that the world is ending in the next 10 years. He believes greenhouse gases are not the main cause of the climate crisis, and that this is a huge scam. And this is what he talks about in most of his videos. But there is one video that sticks out. An 8-hour AI-generated documentary called The Impact. In this video, it spits more of the rhetoric about Egon's views of the global climate crisis, but also devotes a large portion of the video to talking about how anti-cultism is causing gun violence in America. And this just didn't seem to fit in to Egon's catalog of videos. And that was because this was made by a new entity called the Creative Society. The Creative Society is who Egon works for, and they claim to be a global initiative with the goal to draw attention to the world's climate crisis and to unite the world despite diversities. But this seemed strange. Why would a charity-like organization have bots that spread information that is so contrary to the popular belief? And why would they have so many YouTube channels designated to this? Something wasn't adding up. But then a puzzle piece clicked into place. We found Egon's second LinkedIn page. In this LinkedIn page, he is revealed to be the head of the New England chapter of petroleum engineers. And looking more into this, we were able to find that he's a limited partner with Shell. And it clicked. An age-old tale of money. If the public believes that greenhouse gases aren't causing climate change, then these companies make more money. They would even go as far as creating bots to help spread this misinformation. But they go further than that. Take this LinkedIn page, Jake Bell, an ex-military officer and arborist who is now a researcher with the Creative Society. But what qualifications does he have to be a researcher? Well, in 2019, he was hired as a public speaker by them, where he began his classes for an associate's in mathematics. Before he even finished this degree, he was promoted to a research position. Somehow, he was qualified to be a researcher with an associate's in mathematics. This implies that they're grooming their researchers. They are creating characters that have already devoted to these beliefs. And they go even further than that. According to this BBC article, they even edit and misrepresent the words and beliefs of real scientists that they have on their live streams. But that can't be it, right? They're doing all this work just to spread this propaganda? Why do they preach that the world is ending soon? Why do they have bot accounts spreading all of this? Egon is simply a puppet being used for his resume and being promised a quick buck. But if Egon was the puppet, who was pulling the strings? Allow me to thank our sponsor. Me! Do you like conspiracies? Do you like cool clothes? Do you like to know things that may or may not be true? Well, lucky for you, it's Conspiracy Month. 3 videos dedicated to the most hard-hitting conspiracies I could find, each as insane as this one, as well as clothing dropping with each one. This is to commemorate my 1 year on YouTube. I'm excited and very thankful for this experience. If you are interested, pick something up, and if not, subscribing or liking does just the same. Thank you for watching. Now back to the documentary. I wish this case was as simple as a company using AI to spread misinformation. But this rabbit hole goes much deeper. Because after this, we discovered that the Creative Society was just another name for a different company. Allatra. On the surface, they seem to push all the same thing the Creative Society does, promising to rid the world of conflict and to fix the global climate crisis. But they aren't a self-proclaimed company, nor charity, nor non-profit. They call themselves a spiritual movement. The leader of Allatra is a man named Egon, an ex-coal miner turned chiropractor. He is a very spiritual man and must have left an impact on one of his associates, as a woman named Anastasia Novik wrote a book titled Allatra, a spiritual self-help book that proclaimed Danilov to be a prophet, a messiah even. And through these works, they were able to gain a following in Ukraine, and now claim to have followers all around the world, as well as they claim to be seeking a way to solve all the world's problems. But if that's the case, why are they saying it's gonna end? What is up with the greenhouse gas propaganda? Was it really just a quick buck? And then how can they explain this video? The Allatra Group wishes to mix science and mysticism. This is their energy pyramid experiment. The idea is that the user could think a thought, and the pyramid could transmit their consciousness, their thoughts, into other people's heads. And they even claimed they could do it through a screen. This added a very sinister tone to their multi-hour videos, where they basically say nonsense the whole time. Were they attempting to use this device in these videos to transmit their thoughts into your brain while you watched? Did they believe that they could do that? And if that was the case, then why is a company that is trying to save the world also trying to do this? It makes no sense. But that was until a bird flew the coop. When you see Danilov, you see he's always surrounded by multiple women, typically a lot younger than he is. These are referred to as his birds. When one of these women escaped the group, she did an interview where she revealed vile things that were going on behind the scenes. These women were required to do rituals with Danilov, sexual rituals involving pleasing him and each other. YouTube would not like me to go into detail about these. But here's a summary. The women have to take turns pleasing Danilov. They believe by doing this, he is absorbing all of their negative energy, where he eventually releases it, and it is swallowed by an old woman. If they do not want to perform these rituals with Danilov, they are ostracized. If they talk negatively about Allatra or Danilov, they are ostracized. And this is only scratching the surface of the abuse these women face. But now my theory wasn't fitting the picture. My hypothesis was being proven incorrect. This wasn't about money. But another more obvious thing was coming into view. Was this a cult? As I mentioned before, for a non-cult to be so outspoken about how anti-cultism is bad is already suspicious behavior. But in this section, I want to define cultism and see if Allatra, Creative Society, all of them, they're all the same, fit into this description. There are three main characteristics of a cult: authoritarian control, isolation, and opposing critical thinking. Let's break down each of these and talk about ways that Allatra may fit the bill. Throughout this entire documentary, it was very hard to research. For one, Allatra participants speak Russian. Most of their content is in Russian. And two, they truly are secretive about what they believe. I believe many of their followers do not even know the extent of what Allatra believes. But thanks to some interviews with ex-cult members, we have found a lot of information. To talk about authoritarian control, we have to speak a little bit more about Danilov. He, in the Allatra text, is presented as the prophet with divine origins. Every attack on Danilov is twisted by the Allatra PR team. They have articles saying that journalists are attacking the man of peace, and he heals backs and saves the planet. But logically thinking here, if you are in a religion, if you are in a movement, and there is a being of divine origins, according to your beliefs, could you really speak against them? As well as he had a main part in writing the sacred text of Allatra, meaning whatever he said or wants to say is sacred. In the aforementioned interview with one of the ex-cult members who were part of Danilov's birds, she claims that any negative speak on Danilov or Allatra is considered bestial by him, and it can lead to you being outcasted or shamed. Danilov's word is law, is what she says. And I think that that is enough to check it off the list. For isolation, we're going to look at these interviews some more with his ex-birds. The group is, as mentioned, pretty secretive of their true practices. But from her, we learn that people are encouraged to leave their family to join the cult. They are encouraged to free themselves of everything of their past in order to become new in Allatra. This is creating isolation for the person. Obviously, if you rid yourself of everything you once had, then all you have is Allatra. And it looks like Allatra members are allowed to go out into the world and spread the message. And on the surface, they are. But as she mentioned, they were never allowed to go without other Allatra members. This again is creating isolation for that person. They have to have Allatra around at all times. As well as the cult is very, very opposed to any critical talk or thinking about Allatra. If you were taught that every other school of thought than your own is wrong and evil, then why would you ever interact with it? This again is creating isolation for that person. The only people they can truly connect with are other Allatra members. Though they are not physically isolated, they are very much so mentally isolated from everyone else. And I believe that is enough to check it off the list. And last, cults oppose critical thinking. This is often due to their outrageous beliefs being very deconstructible if you think about them. And I don't want to beat a dead horse about how all other thoughts are not allowed in Allatra. We'll skip that, because this one seems very easy to prove. Their beliefs are very far-fetched. They believe that the world is ending in 4 to 6 years. They believe that vampires are a main threat to humanity. They believe Danilov has married the Anunnaki, an alien Babylonian deity, and that he is a reincarnated king, and that Putin has special powers to protect them from the evil of the world. And their main shtick is that greenhouse gases are not causing global warming. It is actually volcanic activity that happens every few years, but if we don't stop it, the world is going to explode. If they are promoting any of these ideas, they can't be promoting critical thinking at the same time. And it's an easy check off the list. There are more characteristics of a cult, but I won't go into them as deeply. I will just check them off this list as well. Charismatic leader, unorthodox rituals, very unorthodox, abuse of its members, and doomsday visions. These all are more characteristics of a cult that Allatra checks off. I've been able to determine this group as a cult, but something just still wasn't adding up. How did it form? Where did it come from? Danilov seems to be a nobody. That was until a seemingly insignificant piece of the puzzle was brought back to the light and filled in the missing piece. You see, the name of the author for the Allatra books was not Anastasia Novik. It was Helena Yablonchikina. This was the final piece. You see, Helena was not just a nobody. She was, in fact, a somebody. In 1990, an extremist sect called the White Brotherhood began in Ukraine. The movement began when a man named Yuri Krinovagov created the Institute of Man. They taught lessons about meditation and spiritual practice and became a religious group with a strict hierarchy and discipline. This all culminated in an event called the Rapture at the Cathedral of Saint Sophia in Kiev, where a large group of the sect came into the cathedral and attempted a mass suicide before the rapture they believed would be on the following day. Luckily, the event was stopped by the police and the group and leaders were ascertained. The remaining followers then went into the woods and began to starve themselves, before, on the day of one of their leaders' plea, she relieved them of their hunger strike. And now you may be asking, what does this all have to do with Allatra? Well, you see, Helena, the true author of the Allatra books, was a part of this sect. With her knowledge of the movement, she created these works and placed Danilov as a messiah figure. And if she was willing to lie about her origins, is it a big surprise that Danilov would too? At times when Russian and Ukraine tensions were reaching a boiling point, an ex-Russian KGB member, with the help of an ex-White Brotherhood member, created a new cult in Ukraine. They presented themselves as godly figures, abusing their members and spreading pseudoscience to make money. They hide behind scientific research to spread the word of their cult, as well as creating pseudoscientific devices and formulating fake and biased research, as well as using AI to spread their misinformation, all while spreading Russian propaganda in Ukraine, with the goal of disrupting Ukraine and recruiting a population of struggling people. This culminated in the raids of their facilities in Ukraine, causing the group to flee the country. Now they preach a similar end-of-the-world scenario as the White Brotherhood did, and one can only hope it does not end the same way. This is the true story of Danilov and Allatra. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This video took a lot of work from me, and my friends who helped out. If you could consider subscribing, I'm a small channel and I would really, really appreciate it. As well as if this video gets 1,000 likes, I will drive to Atlanta, Georgia to try and interview the Allatra group in their headquarters in the United States. If you're interested, pick up a shirt. If not, watching this far is already enough. Consider liking and subscribing and stick around because our next video will be just as good. Thank you so much for watching.